Fantasy managers, we're back after the international break and it's game week 5. Let's get stuck in. Hello, fantasy managers. Hope everybody is well. I'm just waiting for my good man, FPL Rev. There he is.
Hey, what's happening, mate?
Welcome back to the FPL Addicts podcast. It's game week 5. Just want to say, basically, if you're new around here, make sure you give our podcast even or videos with a like, rating, or review, as well as a subscription. But yeah. Hello, Rev. How are we doing, mate?
Oh, well, I'm very good in terms of FPL, mate.
It's been a long 2 weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's good to have it back, but also finally get to talk about my team. I mean, I'll admit to it being a little bit insufferable in our group chat and a little bit smug over the past 2 weeks, but it's been good, mate. It's good to be back.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say you've been itching for the international break to be over and obviously resume and pick up where you left off. Probably the same as many FPL managers who've been doing really well and had a good start to the season. So without further ado, mate, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. So yeah, first of all, we're going to be looking at the FPL Addicts Marketplace, our brand new little section that we've got going on, where we look at some of the various players that are being sold and some of the various players that are being bought. We look at the stats, we look at the fixtures, and we try and deduce whether fantasy managers across the world are doing it right or if they are making a big mistake. So let's have a look here. Let's go to the marketplace and let's see what we've got going on. So the first question that we're going to ask ourselves is, well, who are we selling? And one of the most sold players this week is Nicholas Jackson. So Nicholas Jackson, let's just run through his stats real quick. His expected goals per 90 are 0.94. His expected assists per 90 is 0.15. His key passes per 90, 0.76. And his shots per 90 are 3.80. You surprised to see him here, Reedy?
I am, yeah, to be honest. I mean, he's got a nice fixture coming up, obviously, in Bournemouth. I know when people brought him in, myself included, we expected big things from him. Obviously, Chelsea's fixtures looked great, and that's the main reason. But I don't know, definitely a keep for me. I don't see him being an issue this week. We see how he gets on against Bournemouth, and he's probably not going to have long left in our teams. But how quickly people are getting rid of him now just does baffle me a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those that it is confusing because our next thing here is we've got Chelsea's fixture run. Obviously, from game week 9 to game week 15, it's a pretty difficult run of fixtures. Like, you've got Arsenal there, you've got City in there, you've got Newcastle away, you've got United away. All of those fixtures are incredibly tough. But 3 of the next 4 games are Bournemouth, Fulham, and Burnley.
Yeah,
and they are, like, in terms of like attacking fixtures that FPL managers can target, they don't come much better than that. Really, no, do they?
It's true. I mean, you look at them being away games. Okay, so fair enough. That if they were home, people would go, okay, well, it's a better sort of fixture. I don't think that really matters, though, especially the way that Burnley have conceded the most goals out of the 3 promoted teams this year, which most people didn't expect. So...
Yeah, it's not Sean Dyche anymore.
No, exactly. I mean, Fulham have looked okay, but yeah, again, I think with the absence of Palhinha, who now signed a new deal, as we know, he looks like he's going to be back, so that might make Fulham stronger, but they have been a little bit weaker in that respect. And yeah, Bournemouth next up for Chelsea. I know that Chelsea are still trying to gel and work out, who the best attackers are, where the midfield sits and so on. And Kunku's due to come back at some point in the near future.
He is.
That will change things. But, Bournemouth away, it's surely a hold for now, isn't it, Mikey?
Yeah, it has to be. And the thing is, like, even Aston Villa at home, I feel like is still a good fixture. Like, let's not forget, like, the FPL memories are often very fleeting, aren't they? Like, Aston Villa shipped 5 to Newcastle earlier this season, so they've not looked defensively very strong. And also, Matty Cash scores 2 goals, and suddenly Matty Cash is in everybody's team because our tendency as FPL managers to knee jerk to the thing that's just happened and to react to that thing that's like the hot thing. I've done it myself this season when I brought in Sterling. But the thing is, am I going to get rid of Sterling before these fixtures? Well, no. There's no chance I can justify that as like a legit FPL move. So yeah, if you were going to get rid of Jackson, I would say there's possibly 2 places I could maybe justify going. And the first one is Alexander Isak. He could be something that I would consider personally moving to, but we'll talk about him in a minute, actually, which is, again, another very strange pattern that we're seeing here in terms of players being sold. The second one is Darwin Núñez. Talk to me about Núñez, Reedy.
Well, as we know, last year, you were certainly hyped about Núñez coming in, big fee, Liverpool, goals, and it didn't turn out that way last year. But we've seen what he can do, what he's capable of against Newcastle, and if he's able to nail down that starting spot in the middle for Liverpool of the front 3, then he's definitely an option. I mean, 7.3 or 4 he might be at the minute. It's just, it is so difficult because we want him, but we just don't know if Jota or Gakpo is going to get the nod ahead of him. I think it's a case of we'll see how it pans out. If he plays against Wolves, he starts against Wolves, he looks good again. There's another tick box. And then it gets to the point where after game week, is it 8 or 9 even, Liverpool's fixtures are really good. And he's actually an option. I mean, for Jackson, at a later stage, you could easily just make that move, couldn't you?
Yeah, especially from game week 9, like you could very well get some more information on either Gakpo or Darwin, and then when Liverpool play the not so mighty Everton in game week 9, that could be a more optimal time to make that switch. So that's definitely something to consider there. But if you are thinking about selling Jackson, we think he's a hold for now, at least until these very, very juicy fixtures are out the way. So speak of the devil and he shall appear. The FPL Rev getting those biblical references in. Alexander Isak. So let's just go through his stats for a second. Expected goals per 90, 0.5. Expected assists per 90, 0.01. Key passes per 90, 0.3. Shots per 90, 2.4. These stats are interesting because these stats are good. They're not great, but they're good. You know what I mean? And what we have to consider about these stats is we have to consider who Newcastle have played so far as well. They've had a really tough run of fixtures, and he's still managed to produce some numbers like this. And he's also got himself on the score sheet already this season, and he's looked good. For me, he's passing the eye test. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just want to highlight, before I hand over to you to just talk about him, and maybe we can talk about Newcastle in general, is this absolutely disgracefully disgusting run of fixtures.
Yeah.
Look at the state of that. From game week 5 to game week 19. The triple up's on for me. The triple up is on. It has to be.
Really? The triple up?
For Newcastle, why wouldn't you? I've already got Trippier in my team.
Yeah.
And so, we're kind of FPL managers across the world are just waiting with bated breath to see if Botman drops in price and then bring him in. But like looking at those fixtures, mate. Oh, disgusting.
They are a very creamy set of fixtures.
Creamy is the word. It really is.
They are a nice set of fixtures. I mean, it's a tough one with Newcastle. I mean, what's strange is Liverpool aren't in the Champions League this year, and we've got Europa League football, which we see whether Klopp wants to try and win that. Obviously, we know the Premier League now is even more competitive than ever with Newcastle, getting top 4, Chelsea spending big, United are in there, and Arsenal and City speak for themselves. So it's so competitive to get those Champions League spots, and you'd think that, say Liverpool in Europa, we look at winning that and that's our way in and so on. I just don't see it working out like that. And I think similar to Newcastle now, being in European football, we are going to find where players are getting rotated or rested and things like that. And this fixture is really good. Don't get me wrong, it is really good. But I just don't know yet how Eddie Howe is going to approach this. I think you're safe with Trippier. I think for the time being, great move. It's just who do you really go for? Isak, because obviously we were talking about him. In that first game against Villa, he gets 2 goals. He's looked decent enough. He's looked pretty good. I don't think he's done anything else but that. But obviously the stats show that he's a good option. From game week 6, are we talking realistically from the Sheffield fixtures or this week? Is it a bit early?
Even Brentford at home is like a fixture that I'm like, I think it's a good fixture.
Maybe, yeah. I think it just all comes down to who you've got as your forward 3. Most of us have probably got a cheap forward in Archer, or some people are looking at obviously Morris now with the Luton.
Oh god!
So if you got your 2,
I'm getting flashbacks to Watford, mate, last season.
Yeah.
Oh no!
I know, with the whole Dennis red card. And
yeah. 2 seasons ago now, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But you've got, most, if not everyone, has got Haaland, right? Then you look at your second striker, whether it be Jackson, Wissa, Alvarez, Watkins, all these sort of players. It is really difficult then to kind of decide who to go for. Who do you swap? We've just said you don't take Jackson out, so you don't swap Jackson for Isaac in that respect. Who do you realistically, is it João Pedro? If you've still got him and you've got enough money to jump from João Pedro to Isak, I just don't know how to get there. Rev, give me an idea. Let me know.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I've obviously been one of those smug few who've been on Alvarez since the start of the season.
Yeah,
and he's just been absolutely fantastic. But I guess one of the points that I'm trying to make here is that, like, if I had Isaac, I certainly wouldn't be selling him. And especially not before this run of fixtures. And especially, like, if we started with Isaac, that's probably one of the reasons that you have him. So, and you knew that those were the fixtures that he was going to have, and he might, and which Newcastle have done, struggled. And so why would you start selling them before this run of fixtures? It's baffling to me. So
they're tough fixtures, and I mean, people who own him, who have been obviously selling him at the minute. I think people's heads are obviously getting turned at the moment. In regards to what teams are currently playing at the minute. This coming game week 5, we've had an international break. You've got obviously Spurs with a nice fixture. Richarlison's, he's a midfielder. I mean, Spurs have got no FPL options as forwards, believe it or not.
That's a madness, isn't it?
But Arsenal, Jesus is back now. If you haven't got Jackson, people could be jumping and going to him. I mean, we were expecting a price drop from him, and we didn't get it. Hoyland, I don't even know how to say it yet.
Hoyland, like Haaland from Wish, yeah.
Yeah, he's Lidl's version. These are things that people are kind of looking at, and who did he go to? I mean, Liverpool, it could be what people are doing. But as you say, Rev, I do agree completely, matey, that if you have got him, he's a keep with these fixtures coming up for Newcastle. He is.
Yeah, of course. So, let's move on to this player, Marcus Martin Rashford.
The
as well.
famous Martin Rashford.
Obviously, shout out Colm in the stream as well. He's was Zazu in our most recent meme where I activated my triple captain. That, by the way, that took about 4 hours to make. I need people to go over to my Twitter and just appreciate that Lion King meme that I made, because that took way too long. You know, just tracking frame by frame everyone's head. It was mental. But obviously pretty fun to have Colm in there. But yeah, Marcus Martin Rashford, his stats are as follows: expected goals per 90, 0.47. Expected assists per 90, 0.13. Key passes per 90, 1.26. Shots per 90, 3.52. And it's worth kind of saying as well, like these are his total stats over the course of the season. So these stats have been diluted by the fact that he has played as a central striker, and for whatever reason that is completely unknown to me, I can't figure it out, is that Marcus Rashford puts up much better numbers when he's playing as a left winger. So he's been playing as a left winger now, and he's been looking really good. What do we think about this? As a lot of FPL managers, I've got a theory about it. Is that he's obviously one of the quickest routes to get to the hat-trick hero from last week, which is Heung-min Son.
Yeah.
So even though he's got great fixtures, which I'll put up here as well, which are disgusting, by the way. They're creamy fixtures as well. Like even Brighton at home is like a good fixture, especially if you're like one of those players like Rashford who likes to play on the break. You know, we saw West Ham absolutely put Brighton to the sword by playing just pure counter-attacking football. I'm definitely not selling Marcus Rashford before that. So like even all the way up to game week 13, spicy fixtures, mate. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's an easy keep, easy hold, I suppose, for Rashford. I mean, especially if he does play on that left, and we've seen Højlund has come into the fold now for United. If he's starting again, then
he looks good as well. You know, he could tempt me as a spicy pick.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's there or thereabouts in terms of forwards and being 7 million and above. So, yeah, Rashford's always going to be more effective on the left. He is better there. I do think that's the case. I mean, the issue at the moment, I think with United, seems more to be, you know, who did they play on the right with no Anthony? Is it Garnacho? Is it Blestry? I mean, the only slight concern is, does Rashford get put out on the right? I don't see it personally. I don't think that would happen. I think it's more likely to be Fernandes, you know, someone like that. So I think he is a hold, and especially with the fixtures coming up, more importantly, as you mentioned, I don't see why it'd be a sell.
Yeah, exactly. So the next question we're going to be asking then is, who are we buying? And normally I would like to do 3 players, but I feel like there's one player who's also 2 players. And so the most obvious one that we need to talk about
riddles
is, well, you'll see.
Okay, yeah.
Is Heung-min Son, sorry, in all positions. Let's have a look at his stats. So we're going to combine 2 players, but it's really one player. So far this season, expected goals per 90, 0.38. Expected assists per 90, 0.35. Key passes per 90, 2.36. And shots per 90, 2.62. Now, they're not great numbers, actually, especially when you consider his price point of 9 mil. The reason why I feel like he's a totally different player is because when we just take his stats as a centre forward, he changes drastically. He changes so drastically. Expected goals per 90 playing as a centre forward, 1.32. Disgusting. Astronomical stats. You know, expected assists, it goes way down, but you know, who wants assists when you could be getting the goals instead?
Yeah.
Key passes per 90, again, if we compare that, like it goes down, but he's still involved. And then his shots per 90 double. Well, more than double.
Yeah.
My question, mate, is, do we have enough information to know yet whether or not he's going to be playing as a centre forward. Obviously, there's the old adage, which is like, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But, Richarlison had a knock last time, and now they've had an international break in which Richarlison has scored for Brazil. Do we have enough info? Like, what's...
I think we don't at the moment. I mean, there is one promising thing, and that is that Richarlison's it's been made out, like, if you like, in public, it's in the public eye.
Yeah.
Arden Richarlison having to get therapy or these sessions and so on because he's not been scoring for Spurs and Brazil. I mean, the only problem with that is that it's not been said that he's going to be away from the squad or he's not going to be playing at all. The key thing really is he's going for that, but he also needs the playing time. If Richarlison is playing and he is the centre forward, obviously Son's out on the left, and that does make him a little less effective.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, we look at the fact that Spurs are playing Sheffield United, they're at home, and they've got a few injuries to the team from what we've seen from recent updates, the presses and so on. So information is key, absolutely. And, the stats clearly show that for what Son you get that plays as a striker compared to the one you get on the left is much juicier, and manager's obviously licking the lips at the fact that he scored a hat-trick last week, and if he's playing in that position again against Sheffield United, it's got to be carnage, surely.
Yeah, I mean, there are some content creators who are saying, I don't think this is a knee-jerk, I think it's a bit of a knee-jerk.
Oh, no, it is.
If I'm being honest.
It is a knee-jerk.
Some people say, it's totally different because he's playing as a centre-forward. I'm like, do we know that for sure? Like,
it's a knee-jerk because we've all got... I mean, the money's there for us to get any midfielder. They're enough, apart from, obviously, if you're going to have Salah and Haaland in your team, it changes things slightly. But the issue is, we've got Arsenal, who have a great fixture against Everton, whether you've got one or two. You've got United, who, yes, play Brighton, who've conceded goals this year. But also then United's fixtures get really good, or stay really good, if you like. So who are we selling, really, to get Son? It's one of these guys.
Well,
and it doesn't really feel like it's justified. And I agree. I think it is slightly knee-jerky, given the fact that if he hadn't scored a hat-trick against Burnley, no one would be making any noise, I don't think.
No, not at all. And I think Colin makes a really good point. And this, for me, is the only situation in which I would bring in Son this week. Is that there have been rumours, and I know FPL Twitter just gets so bored and just starts literally making stuff up. There have been rumours that Saka has picked up a knock over the international break. The only way in which I would bring him in this week is if we get some definitive news from Arteta that Saka is injured. So, but other than that, Colm, I think Saka is like an absolute clear hold for me. And, he's looked really good, and he obviously plays Everton. Which, Arsenal obviously going to put us to the sword. But I just don't think, other than that we've got enough information to really warrant that. But the thing is, like, if we want information, like, let's have a look around here. So we've got, obviously, Sheffield United, which is the big juicy fixture that everyone's licking their lips at. And will Son score? Well, very likely, I think. It's quite likely that Son picks up a goal, maybe an assist as well, maybe a brace, or even better. I think that's something that is definitely going to happen. But then Game Week 6 and Game Week 7 could very easily be moved out to the left again if Richarlison makes his way back into the team.
Yeah.
But for me, I think it's very reasonable for FPL managers to just put their feet back on the ground, take a deep breath and say, you know what, let's get more information. Let's wait until Game Week 8 and then make that decision. Because for me, it's too soon, personally. And there's only one way in which I'll be doing it, which is if Saka's injured. Yeah, go on.
Or if you're doing the hokey cokey, and You put
Well,
your
yeah, you could.
Sonny in, take your Bruno out, keep him for 2 weeks to bring some back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that for me is the only other option. I mean, I'm looking at that. I'm not going to lie. I have flirted with the idea. I don't like the idea of Bruno being deeper out on the right, whatever it may be. And I know there's all this hype of, oh, look what he's done against, Luxembourg. Oh, yeah, world beater.
No, yeah.
The whole, oh, Jesus. You know what I mean?
He did get a FIFA score of 10 for that game, but then, me and you, mate, will get FIFA scores of 9 against those teams. Like
7.5 for me, 9 for you.
Mate, nah.
Yeah, so
not if I get injured first.
Yeah, essentially. But that's what I'm saying. It is, like you say, knee-jerky, because you're thinking if you're going to get on him, it would have been the Burnley fixture, not now, after he's done what he's done. But I still think that people's temptation's too much. You know what I mean? We see John in the comments here. He's like, I have neither. I don't want to miss out. You know what I mean? This is the kind of stuff, the FOMO, that gets us, isn't it? So, yeah, I mean, if you can do what I'm doing, and then you've got no other fires to put out in game week 6 and 7, and you can do a hokey cokey, then by all means, bring him in for this game week and ship him back out for the next 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Who's to say, though? I mean, Arsenal, Liverpool could well. I know they're hard fixtures, but could well score against these.
It's still the type of fixture that suits Son, to be fair.
Yeah.
In terms of like playing some counter attacking. But yeah, it's one of them in which I just feel like it's okay to wait.
Yeah.
It's okay to wait.
Yeah.
Right, and from one hat-trick hero to another, Evan Ferguson, expected goals per 90, ballistic, 0.98. Expected assists per 90, don't care about that because he's scoring the goals. 0.03 there. Key passes per 90, 0.44, and then shots per 90, he gets 5.71 shots per 90. Yeah. Disgusting.
João Pedro's just ruined our lives, hasn't he? I mean, well, not our lives, because I didn't start with him. I think you did, maybe? Did you?
No, I didn't start. I started with Alvarez, mate.
Yeah. Someone did in the podcast anyway. But like the FPL managers who got João Pedro, it was purely a pricing thing because we could afford him and he was on pens. But you know what? If we knew that Evan Ferguson was guaranteed more game time and so on, and we didn't have Danny frigging Welbeck ruining his
Wellers,
we'd have him in a heartbeat because the lad has got some talent. There's no doubt about it.
He's so good, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a great player and
so good at footy.
He's so good at footy. I mean, getting a hat trick is just says it all, really. Do we buy him? That's the question. That's the golden question.
That is the question. So there are a couple of themes going on here in the Addicts marketplaces. Like the people who are being sold shouldn't be being sold, and the people who are being bought shouldn't be being bought. Well, at least you can make a really good case for Son, to be fair, but I do think we should just wait. But first of all, Evan Ferguson, he might have a knock. Okay, he does have that old triangle, the old Dorito of death. On him, which says he is carrying an injury. I'm not sure how seriously I take injuries over the international break. When I sometimes think like that players just want to rest and don't want to go play for the international team, so they just go, oh yeah, I've got a hamstring thing or whatever, so that they don't have to get on the plane, and they can just focus on getting as fresh as they can for club football. That said, the lad's astronomical. But again, like, these next 4 fixtures, next 5, are not fixtures. It depends if you're a form or fixtures guy, to be fair. I'm definitely a fixtures person, and I look at this and think, nah, no thanks. Man United away, Liverpool at home, City away, even Villa away is quite a hard fixture as well. And so over the next 5, I'm thinking, do we really want to bring in Everton Ferguson, even with the risk of rotation as well through European football as well, which Brighton have And so, is it one of? I'm just confused as to why people are bringing him in. To be honest, I get it. It's a hat trick. I get it. But
I don't know. It's for me personally. There's only one word for it, and it's casual.
Casuals,
fair
enough. Yeah,
I think the casuals are obviously bringing him in. People who have seen him score a hat trick, similar to the Son one. He scored a hat trick. He must be great. Let's get him in. His numbers at the moment is 5, 1, 2, and then obviously the 17 against of all teams Newcastle, which has been Brighton's hardest fixture so far. I mean, they got beat by West Ham 3-1, but West Ham started really well. And for them to beat Newcastle 3-1 is pretty impressive. And for him to get a hat-trick, it is just jumping on the bandwagon, unfortunately, with this one. And I think he doesn't need to be bought at this stage. That's just my opinion, I suppose.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, well, I mean, that's it from the FPL Addicts Marketplace. Let us know in the comments about the players that you're buying and the players that you're selling, whether you think FPL managers across the world are doing it right or making a mistake. Particularly let us know about what you think about Heung-min Son. Maybe I'm biased because there's only one situation in which I would bring him in this week, so maybe my brain is finding excuses. Maybe you think it's a great shout, but just let us know and let us know your reasons why. All right, cheers for that. All right.
Awesome.
We move on, mate. We move on and to possibly one of my favourite parts. But before that, we've got to mention a little something, haven't we? We've got to mention this. It's the EPL Live app by Sportsmate. It's an app that is really good for your sports news, your Premier League news, and also we are partnered with it. When you open this app, the first one of the first things that you will see is the FPL Addicts podcast, which is something that we're really proud to be a part of as well. So if you haven't got that app already, make sure you go and download it, and you can give us a listen on there. It's pretty cool. So next, mate, the mini leagues.
Go on then.
Do you want to talk about this, or should I? Because if I talk about this, mate, I'll be absolutely insufferable.
I mean, don't forget though, you know, it's no different to the last podcast where you were top anyway. So you top this week. It doesn't change things. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, go for it.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll get my team up, and I will show the folks who are watching at home my very very proud addition to the 100 club. Here we are, 100 club this week, 102 points. That's how I got on this last game week. For those of you who didn't know, I did triple captain Erling Haaland for his hat-trick and his assist and his 3 bonus points. It was a decision that I didn't take very lightly either. Yes, Gary knows. Rev rubs it in. He knows, mate. And it's finally so good to say, by the way, that I made a decision that was backed by the data, backed by the numbers, and it paid off. You know, like, I was so sick and tired last season of looking at all of the stats, looking at all the numbers, and them not quite matching up as to what was happening in reality. It was such a strange season last season. But for me, I looked at Fulham, I looked at where they were conceding their chances from, the expected goals conceded, and also the fact that they were without their main defensive midfielder in Paulino, which, Reedy, you mentioned earlier. But yeah, so happy to have been on board with a hat-trick. And John David as well, making a great point here. I don't have the headache of having to use the triple captain at some point later in the season. I'm dead happy with that. other than that, though, the
Finished?
rest of the team, yeah, the rest of the team.
Other than that, though, other than that,
The
it
rest
was
of the team doing all right.
average.
Saka there with a 4-pointer, Foden with a 5, Rashford with a 7, Adzogi with a 5, and Alvarez as well coming away with the 14-point haul as well to mark what was overall a great game week, mate. Thoughts, Reedy?
Yeah,
Thoughts?
no, fair play. Using the captain's armband on him. I mean, why not? It was the fixture was there for him. With the things mentioned as well, it was a case of how many wouldn't he get? I know one of them was a penalty, and he scored. I think maybe right near the end as well to obviously get his hat trick. So yeah, it's a fair play. You went for it. You stuck to your guns, and you've been rewarded, matey. It's one of them where you look at people who captained him and got the 40 points. You got the extra, obviously, the extra 20. It's just a case of can people who didn't use the triple captain on him gain that later on in the season or at whatever point, mid-season, even before the second half. So I think, personally, yes, I think we can gain that. I think if City do have a double game week, it can be done. But, the end of the day, it's about making your own decisions, which, as you said, you did. You're happy with that, rightly so, So I think, mate, and I think the nice little buffer for you, really, which has made it look better, is the Alvarez points, because I think if you're going into that, and don't get me wrong, you're still going to be getting what we're talking, say 90 points, even if Alvarez doesn't return or whatever it might be. So you're still getting a high point. You've still smashed it. But I think that Alvarez 14 is just, you know what I mean? It's the ice
delicious
almost. So fair play to you, buddy.
Yeah. So let's have a look at the rest of the FPL Addicts and what they're doing here. So Chaza with the 76 points, obviously got his captaincy pick right as the captain's corner man. And Mbumo and Maddison, brilliant players. He's in a bit of a similar situation to me, and I feel like this is something that we just need to slightly touch on at the moment is the fact that he's got Johnson and Turner as well. So for those of you who might be in the same boat, same boat. I went Geordie then, didn't I? In the same boot.
Same boot.
Yeah. Why? Is that Henderson? And go on, pronounce it for us, Reedy. Vlachodimos or Odysseus? What's his name? I honestly don't have a clue, but it's a problem though, right?
Yeah. Basically, in other words, the new Forest keeper, the new one they've signed, which is Vlachodimos or Vlachodimos. You want to say it? Vlachodimos. Flatulence, whatever you want to call
Flatulence.
it. Not really. So there's a bit of a conundrum going on with keepers, and if you've got Johnston and Turner, right?
Yeah. I feel like for me, it's definitely a case of just holding them for this week, and then seeing what happens the week after. Even if we have a game week where we don't play any keepers, clean sheets have been few and far between anyway. So, and I'm also thinking about going for Nick Pope eventually. Anyway, we saw Newcastle's really, as you described, creamy run of fixtures. And so, definitely Nick Pope is someone on my radar. But a fairly solid game week for the Chaz man. Ollie.
We'll come back to that. We'll go back to the goalkeeper, but for now we'll look at, people's scores. Who's on 85 then? Was it Jack?
This is Ollie.
Oh, it was Ollie? Wow.
With Bell's Kitchen. The fact that he's had Jarrod Bowen, mate, is absolutely disgraceful. He's got no right. He's got no right in being doing as well as he has been. But fair play to Ollie. Just fair play to him. Obviously, one of the top scoring midfielders so far.
Are you a bit jealous? Are you?
Well, I mean, Jarrod Bowen, I really rate him as a player. He disappointed us last season.
Bowen, Foden.
Well, yeah,
Started
exactly.
with Bowen this season, instead of Foden.
Well, yeah, he's one of them where I'm definitely looking. Like, I just feel like it's just such pain because as an Everton fan, I'm looking at players to bring them in, and they all start when they play Everton. So, definitely from game week 10 onwards, I'm definitely gonna have a Jarrett Bowen in my team for this game week 10 to game week 17 fixture run. That's a naughty fixture run that, but yeah, so well played to Ollie. And then is the Pope Catholic? Well, the Bishop of Rome has no jurisdiction in this realm here in England. Rev references, if you know, you know. Shout out to my Church of England massive.
What's going on? What is happening?
Yeah. So I'm
some sort of religious,
Yeah. I'm referencing the 39 articles, but this is one of those where Saka and Martinelli, they're kind of ticking over, but they're not doing great.
No.
But aside from that, the fact that he's got Alvarez has just made his game week kind of like mine. It's just papered over the cracks a little bit. And the Sterling, Chilwell, Estupiñán points were obviously really disappointing.
Yeah.
He's benched Turner's 5 points over Flecken, so it could have been even better. But
a really solid week from Elliot. Great game week, 80 points.
Yeah, pretty good. And then we're getting Tasty Baby.
Yeah, unfortunately, not very tasty, is it?
It tastes like shit, mate. So, oh no, the 12-pointer benched.
Yeah. Archer obviously banged, didn't he, against your beloved Everton. You know what? Who would he have benched instead of him? Really?
There should be a new rule, though, to be honest, in fantasy football. If you've got a player who's playing against Everton, no matter what, you should just play them. Because we are shocking.
Now we know that.
Yeah.
Now we know that, but
yeah, well, I mean, Jordan Pickford, obviously you don't have the Turner Johnston issue, but talk about him going forward, mate. What's happening for you here? Is it a game week 9 transfer that you might make, or
it's not a worry for now? I mean, I say it's not a worry. I'm looking at playing Turner this week. Pickford is just going to sit and rot for now. Unfortunately, I'm not going to waste any transfers on a goalkeeper. I'll play. You know what? I was thinking about the Pickford move, but then I was like, well, we'll play Taylor this week. Fingers crossed he still keeps his place.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, Everton do get, dare to say it, a good fixture run. They do play after Brentford, so it's game week 7. You've got Luton at home,
Luton and Bournemouth
at home, and then you've got ourselves. So for that 2 weeks, the week after that, then Forest, when we play yourselves, Forest play Luton at home. So I feel like keeping him for those 2 weeks at least, and then going back to Turner again, I could actually end up getting some points from it. So I think it is definitely, from a goalkeeper point of view, it's knee-jerky, unless
Turner loses his place. I
have no choice. I've got to play Pickford, which is shocking, in it. But
Oof.
That was my game week. 75 points or 6 points or whatever. Not the best. I've kept hold of Matoma yet again, other than what his 12 points he got against Wolves, kind of ticking over, if you like, as well. So nothing to really shout about. I'm just hoping to climb back up and get some points this week. That I can catch up on people. Yeah,
and then Jack had a phenomenal game week, only behind me by 1 point.
That's
and I
crazy considering he didn't triple captain. Yeah,
as well. And I proper slagged them off in the game week preview as well for this team.
Yeah,
and to be fair, I still feel like I was right to do so. In a way, because Trent, looking forward, I'm looking at those fixtures thinking, oh gosh, I do wish I had Trent.
Why is that? He's got a hamstring injury. He's not playing against Wolves.
Is he definitely not playing against Wolves? Is he out? Okay, fair enough. I just thought it was one of those international break-in injuries.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean? So, all right, well, fair enough.
Yeah. So whether Jack's aware of this, I don't know. But I mean, obviously, for last week, which is what we're talking about, it was a great pick. That's the thing with Trent. If he keeps it clean and he assists, he's on bonus. Similar trip.
Yeah, exactly. Bonus point.
And if you catch him in that, he's already getting double-digit hauls. Simple as that. And he got it. Yeah. And then, so he's got 20 points alone from Salah and Trent.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously Mo Salah hasn't even blanked yet this season, and his fixture run is creamy. I'm frightened of Salah going forward. I really am. He's one of those players that could just start going off, and we'll all be like, "Oh yeah, he exists," and we just start ripping up our teams for him.
Well, I mean, if you're going to keep a wild card, if you're going to keep your wild card, if you're not wild card in this game week, I think that's certainly an option to get Salah in. So if you've not got a wild card,
if I was on a wild card this week, I'd definitely have Salah in my team. He'd probably be the second name on the team sheet after Haaland.
Oh, really?
So yeah. But there we go. Anyway, that's our mini league right there. Yeah, pretty fun. Pretty fun. It's good to be back on top as well. For the change, we are winning. My overall rank is like 34k right now, which is like, about time. About time. Let's go to a couple of these comments. So John David is going in for Son and Rashford, most likely for a -4 long-term assets, and as an Arsenal fan, Son always punishes Arsenal when he's in form. Okay, interesting. That's kind of like what we were saying about maybe the fixture does suit Son, even though on paper it's quite a difficult fixture. We have Gary as well. Congratulations, mate, on starting Archer for that haul against Everton. Very, nice. Very tasty display there. Gary confirming that Trent is out for 2 weeks as well. And so yeah, do you want to add anything to all of that there, Reedy?
I think it was just we wanted to go back to there was a few things, to be fair, that we've covered. And one thing is benching headaches for this game week.
Yeah.
We've obviously all got enough money to have a crazy squad this season, all the best players, and I think benching headaches is going to happen more often this year. For me personally, it's going to be a Stupinan on the bench this week against United. So it's similar to last week. Actually, I got away with it, if you like. So last week he was due to actually get a clean sheet until Callum Wilson spoiled that right near the end of the game. So he would have got 6 points, would have been sat on my bench along with Archer. And actually, I don't know if you remember this, but last season, a lot of people benched him in the Arsenal game. He got a 17-point haul. So I don't know if you remember that one. But yeah, so it's a similar thing. I mean, he's so attacking. It's always a dangerous thing to kind of bench him. But I suppose it's just the fact that, our teams are so good. We've got so many options. Yeah. And we all more or less want to go for a 3-5-2. So yeah. Same situation for you this week?
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. Turner, just praying to the gods that he starts. Trippier, Udogie, Chilwell, which is quite a common theme. I do have a Stupinan, and I know that he's against Man United. I feel like Man United score in that game, so it just depends on whether you're an upside player or a clean sheet chaser, really. And I just don't think clean sheets are that much of a thing at the moment. But if you can get them, I just feel like Trippier, Udogie, and Chilwell's upside this week are better than Estupiñán. So obviously Estupiñán's going to score a brace this weekend.
He'll have us all off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
so
then Saka, it's one of them. Yeah, go on, really.
I was just going to say, I think that's the issue, is that you've got 2 United players. As it stands, have got 2 United players, and we're both thinking, right, okay, we expect Brighton to concede. They nearly never against Newcastle last week, or the last game week. So it's a close thing. Brighton are capable of anything. Lewis Dunk's just played for England as well. Rate him. Would you be surprised if United are absolute toilet and don't manage to score? No. A stupid and clean sheet and maybe an assist. It could happen. So it is always a risk. It is always a risk. But that's it in regards to benching headaches. I think there's probably other people in other situations where they've got to bench, a good player, whether it be defender, midfielder, if they've made a strike. Going back to the goalkeeper thing that you mentioned about Johnston and Turner. I think basically it's a wait and see. It is a wait and see. We don't know. Henderson's the number 1 for Palace yet. Obviously, in the press conferences, if Hodgson or what's the Forest, what's his name again? Steve Cooper. That's the one. I couldn't think for a minute. But yeah, it depends if they give us any inclination that Henderson or Turner and Johnston will be benched. So it's a wait and see for now. I mean, we could be screwed. Well, you could be screwed, not me, because I'll still have Pickford, who's an absolute bag of dicks. So, that's a situation that potentially could come up in the next week or two. And then the other one really that I wanted to mention was the wild card. We've noticed a few people a wild card in this game week after the international break. Do you think it's needed at this stage in the season yet, Mikey?
I know it's like a bit of a FPL content creator trope, but it is team dependent, obviously. But at the same time, I do really like the look of a wild card this week, just to jump on Liverpool assets, to jump on Salah, to jump on Darwin. Obviously, Trent being injured throws that spanner in the works a little bit, but still, like, Liverpool could be massive going forward, and none of us have Liverpool assets in our team really, unless you're on like a cheeky Luis Diaz, for example, or you're Jack and you do have Salah. Newcastle, great fixtures as well. Could be great moment to triple up on them. Could be a great moment to just, if you're like me and you do have triple City, you could move off just to single City, because City's fixtures aren't amazing at the moment going forward, at least for the next few game weeks. And
if you're on the wild card, do you
triple Spurs could be a great option.
Yeah, but do you even dare go with Carlton Morris? What do you reckon?
No.
Stay clear as the 8th attacker? No?
I mean, I know. I've just said like a brand new rule could be target Everton, but then the thing is, like, if you put a Luton attacker in your team, you have to realise that you've put a Luton attacker in your team.
Yeah, it's a transfer waiting to happen, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just I'm like,
yeah,
not in.
So definitely no triple Luton then on the wild card, no.
No. The thing is, like, if you've already got someone like a Kabore, could be a hold. But even Kabore, like, got benched, didn't he? So I'm a bit like, there's nothing to write home about really when it comes to Luton.
No. Yeah. So you don't think it's to answer the question really, you don't think it's too early to wildcard then?
I think wildcarding could be a good option if your team is in a little bit of disarray. So, like, there are some people that, like, might be watching this and they might still have Shaw, they might still have João Pedro, they might still have Gabriel, they might have Johnston and Turner.
Yeah. They basically might have stopped playing the game, is what you're saying.
Well, no, I do know active
We've had a
players.
4-week international break.
No, I do know active players who've got these players still in their team. They've just had other fires to put out, and they've been a bit knee jerky, and now these problems are coming to face them.
Yeah.
And I would say you could really justify a wild card this week. Personally, I think it's much better to save it for the fixture swing.
Okay, so there's the real answer. There's the real answer.
Yeah, around game week 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Personally, I think I could. I really like the look on my team going forward. There's just like a few players that I do want, but the players that I do have aren't necessarily an issue. I could see myself wildcarding at like game week 18 or 19 at this rate.
Before we
just using it to, just before we get the second one.
So it's going to go from last season using the wildcard in game week 2 to this season burning a wildcard.
Burning a wild card. Like, I don't think I'd burn the wild card because I'd probably use it to bring in Areola.
Yeah.
And to bring in, those nailed on cheap slots. Like, the thing is, like, I kind of like going forward. I think I do want Darwin. Eventually, I think we'll want Evan Ferguson as well. We're not going to get rid of Haaland. So, Archer is okay to have, but I think maybe 3-4-3 will eventually be the most effective tactics available / the meta of FPL. At which point we've got to look at, well, who's our fifth midfielder? It could be Enzo from Chelsea, who's looking all right. He's playing quite attacking. He's 5 mil, so we could have him on our bench and to cover in those players who are getting rotated out, and we could afford to be a bit more risky. We could have 2 4 mil / 4.5 mil defenders to cover that, 2 playing keepers. I do think that eventually the wild card will look like that, but that is, if you're going to wild card, you need to make your team perfect. You need to make your team perfect, and whilst our teams are like so close to that anyway, I'm personally not interested in doing a wild card. But 2 injuries to my team, and then Foden and Alvarez get dropped all of a sudden out of nowhere by Pep. Like, it's on the cards for me. I could be on a game week 9 wild card and I just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is that I think we know at some point with Champions League and so on, the way that managers can rotate and stuff and switch players. I think we do know in the back of our minds that we're going to be due a change. If you can do it in these next few weeks, whether you can make use of those 4 transfers and get the players in you need to, i.e. whether it be Liverpool or whoever, then fair play. And if you can do it, save your wild card for later on, then then maybe do that. One other thing I was going to talk about is, I suppose we can categorize this because it won't take long in a way. There's no point doing like a segment on it or anything like that. But all I was going to say was, who, I suppose if we name 3 players each, that might be a bit difficult, but I'm sure we can get there. 3 players each who we think are the best players for game week 5. I'll go first just so we can kick off like at the top of my head right now. The best players for me, I mean, I'll go for Maddison as one of them. I'll go for Maddison. I mean, I did just go all the way to game week 21 just to look at, for some random reason, Fulham's fixtures. But they're still rubbish. But I think
Pereira?
for this week, well, exactly. That's what I mean. I'm going to go for Maddison. I'm going to go for, I think Jota's a good pick for this week.
Okay.
Diego Jota. And a third one, I will say, I will go for Saka, I think. So for me, it'd be Maddison, Jota, and Saka. I like the fixtures, playing really, sort of poor defensive teams. Jota can just score when he wants. Just seems to come up with these double-digit hauls. Obviously, Maddison has looked really good creative-wise for Spurs, and yeah, I think for me, three good picks. What about yourself?
Yeah, so I think if I'm just going to go a bit different to you, I'll start off with Darwin Núñez.
You know as well though. You've got to bear in mind, Mikey. You've got to pick someone who you think will definitely start, because
I think he'll definitely start this week.
You think he will?
He can't be dropped after the brace.
So he's come back after the international injury. He got taken off after 45 minutes, but bear in mind for Uruguay, because he had some muscle fatigueness and so on.
Well, very often you do see Premier League managers instructing international managers to only play them for a certain amount of minutes.
Yeah, he's come back, and Klopp said that he's only come back today, and he's in first training session today. So I don't know. I mean, I'll let you have the pick though. It's your pick.
Yeah. I'll still go for Núñez, because the thing is, even if he comes off the bench, he still score 2.
Yeah, of course.
Colm obviously goes with oily arms.
Traore, the anaconda.
Tama Traore. No, unfortunately, Colm, I won't be picking him, mate, but I appreciate the effort. The next player I think I want to highlight is Raheem Sterling. Is away to Bournemouth. I think he's a great pick for this week. I just think I can just see him running at that defence and just. So
you'd be bringing him in, right?
I still think he's got some good fixtures, but so you mean who? Sorry, that's we've got to define what the question is. It's like who do we think is going to be the best player to bring in?
Best players for this week, basically, to bring in.
Sorry, I thought you meant who are the best players for this week? Who do we think is going to bang this week?
Ideally, you're going to bring him in. Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I've already got. Okay, so if I'm bringing a player in, Salah, don't care, mate. Obviously, his fixture run's incredible. He's in great form, and you know, I don't just want to sit here as the Everton fan and say, you know, just a bunch of Liverpool players. Started with Darwin and then gone to Salah.
Yeah.
And then I think, shall I say it? Shall I say it? I'm not sure I should say it.
Oh God, Danjuma.
No, it's not an Everton pick.
Go on then.
Okay. It's going to be controversial.
Tom Davies. He's now at Sheffield United. No, go on.
I'm going to say Højlund.
Oh, I wasn't expecting
as well. If I was going to put me neck out on like picking who the next player to start banging is going to be, for me it would be Højlund of Man United.
Yeah.
Obviously, a fixture this week against Brighton goes on a fantastic run of fixtures. And
if he's on it before the fixtures turn good in a way, because he plays Brighton, which isn't the easiest for United. But it's also about trying to catch a player before he then gets that run of form. And I think he could be. It's not a bad option. I mean, Colm's mentioned in the chat there, Jesus. He's another one, I suppose, who you could bring in. But I like that one. I like the Højlund pick. Yeah, mate. If he gets the game time.
Yeah, it's controversial, but I did watch him play, and I was thinking like, gosh, he's rapid, you know, as well. He's so quick. He does remind me a little bit of Evan Ferguson, to be fair, in terms of like the way he attacks the ball.
Yeah.
And he's got a great run of fixtures coming up as well. So
I like that one. And a third one.
No, I've done Darwin, Salah, and Højlund.
Oh, you sticking with right? Okay, so Darwin, Salah, and Højlund. Nice.
Yeah.
Three picks and 3 players to bring in for this week. Each boys. Yeah.
A few little sneaky differentials there for you. Can't believe I'm saying Salah is the differential, but he is.
Yeah, and I suppose the last 2 things, unless you've got anything else.
Yeah, go on.
But I mean, I think it's a case of, and we can cover 2 topics in one really. One is The first one is just a single thing on its own is, are we making any transfers this week? Are you making any transfers or are you rolling?
There's two potential transfers for me this week. If we get some Man City team news and I find out that Foden isn't starting, I'll go from Foden to Maddison. And I can do that. I can afford it in just one thing. So if I have my screen up here, we can go get rid of Foden, and I've got 7.8 mil.
You've got more than enough
to do Maddison, which would leave me on nothing.
Yeah,
but that could be one option. The second option is, we'll just reset this. And I'm pretty sure it's just football Twitter, fancy football Twitter BS. Is Saka being injured? Oh, has Saka dropped?
Yeah, I think he did.
Okay, well, if Saka is injured, I'm pretty sure I'll be taking a -4 this week. For Son.
Okay.
Just because I don't want to go Saka to Maddison and just have like a bunch of money left in the bank. So yeah, it's one of those. So if again, like I might do like a Foden to just someone else. I haven't really thought about it too much yet, but we could quite easily add in Son there, and then the next player to go out, I think, could actually very well be Chilwell.
Interesting.
Just simply because it frees up the funds, but I'd kind of want to get Botman in anyway. So if we sort by transfers out, I'm bringing Botman, the most transferred out defender this week.
Yeah,
Could bring in Botman, even if he's injured. Estupiñán's covering him on the bench. And then we've got 0.9 remaining, which would leave me next week able to do a goalkeeper transfer if I needed one. And the goalkeeper that I'm thinking about to bring in is actually Onana.
No.
Mate, it is.
I'll
like
bring that clown in.
Mate, from game week 6, look at the kip of that. All the way up to game week 13.
I just don't know about him. Just really not sure about it.
The thing is, if I need Botman to drop to 4.4, because if he drops to 4.4 next week, I can go Johnston to Pope.
Right.
And I'd be laughing.
Okay. So you're prepared to spend the 5 mil on Pope this year? You know, for me personally...
is Pope 5 mil or... I thought he was 5.5.
He might be 5.
Yeah, he's 5.5.
Oh,
yeah, so look, I'm 0.1 away.
Yeah, I'd rather go for an Alisson. He'll get you more points.
Alisson's been on my radar as well, you know.
I don't see the point in going for Pope, you know, when you've got Alisson, who every season, near enough, cleans up on the points and he gets it. It's quite easy. I just don't think there's a comparison in that respect. But, you know, obviously, if you want 3 Liverpool at some point, you know, you don't really want to have to then worry about taking Alisson out. So
yeah. Is Van Dijk and is Van Dijk back?
No, he's out for another. Is it this game and another game? I think he got his ban extended. So
and then who was injured last time? Was it
Canate is out again? So I think we go into the Wolves game with probably the same back or centre back pairing. So I mean, Canate's been back in training, but you know, Klopp may just stick with Matip and Gomez if they're both fit. I mean, the worry now we've got is no Trent.
Yeah.
Who covers the right back spot, which would be Gomez. So, yeah, we could see a really sort of random back four for us this week.
Yeah. Rafiq's just asking a few questions. I'll just go through all 3 of his questions here. So he asked us, will Botman play? Then he asked us, will Botman play? And then he's also asked us, will Botman play? Mate, I don't know how popular you think we are, right? But the rate at which our chat moves is not very fast. So you can ask the question once. Yeah, I'm not sure, mate. It's one of those where Botman, you need to...
Yeah. He's been back in training this week. Eddie's basically said he hopes that he'll be able to face Brentford this weekend. So possibly, he's trained this week. Fingers crossed for him. And we'll see how he feels today. So there's your
Gary's asking a great question here. Will Botman play?
No. No.
Can I get Pope, even though I'm Church of England?
Oh.
Yeah, but I have to do it on the sly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm informing them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but it's one of them in which, there are several options. I need to wait for team news. At the moment, I'm just rolling. But if I get the news that Foden isn't starting, I will do Foden to Maddison. If I get the news that Saka's injured, I will just find a way to get Son into my team. And then I will draw down funds from either Chilwell or someone else. The ideal scenario is that I find out that Foden isn't starting. And I can just move straight from Foden onto someone else, really.
And it would be like you were saying before. The other thing that I was saying, the 2-in-1 situation is, first and foremost, who are we captaining, and secondly, is Son a option?
Well, one sec, mate. What about your transfers?
Oh, sorry, yeah, completely skipping it, aren't I? For me this week, I'll just quickly get the screen up so we can see. For me, I do want to roll. Ideally, I do want to roll.
That's how we roll. Yeah.
For next week, I don't need to make one. There's nothing.
Can Eze do well against Crystal Palace? Yes, if he scores an own goal. Rafiq, with all the I know your name is all options, but you don't have to say every possibility, no matter how ridiculous. He's going through every option, mate, isn't he? I like to be serious to Rafiq here. If I do like Eze as a player. I really like him as an option, and if you're looking to bring him in, I'm not against the idea at all. I think he's a good differential. Did well last time out as well.
Yeah.
So Botman or Guardiola starting?
The news for me this week is probably going to be potentially Son in for Fernandes.
And can you just do that as like a straight swap?
Yes. So I've got 1.6 in the bank. Is it 1.6? So yeah.
How have you got that money in the bank? It's because I've got a stupid now, haven't I? I've got Trippier, so that's why I can't make that move.
Yeah.
Straight away. Yeah. In hindsight, I kind of wish I'd have went Botman instead. Instead of Trippier.
Oh right,
and just had that flexibility to jump on whoever I want. But hindsight's 2020, and it's a hell of a drug.
It is indeed, mate. It is indeed. So yeah, that's it for this week for me. That's the only move I'm considering.
You're getting rid of Fernandes though. That's bold, I reckon. Especially. Oh, so you're gonna bring in Son for 1 week, and then you're gonna sell him again for Fernandes?
I am indeed. Yes, I am.
Really? Is that the plan? That's the actual plan.
Yeah.
I would do. Do you have 2 free transfers or 1?
Oh, just 1.
Nah, you can't do that, mate. So if you had 2 free transfers, I'd respect it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you said because now you're putting yourself in a position where you're booking transfers and you don't have
potentially.
Oh, mate. I quite like bringing in Son and holding him. By the way, I don't hate that at all.
Yeah, I know, but I just think with United's fixtures, I just get
you can't go Matoma to Son.
No, I haven't got that. I don't think so. Anyway, let me just check. I don't know. Matoma is what 6 point something. No, 8.1.
8.1. You could bring in Jota.
Nah, don't want Jota.
Matoma to Jota would be the spiciest move, mate.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like Matoma will get something against
Colms, this is the Reedy we know and love. This is your style, to be fair. It's aggressive. And you've gone straight from being Tommy template to being like, nah, I'm bored now.
This is.
I'm gonna plan in hokey cokies.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, hokey cokey, get it done, and then I'll have Son for game week 8, bring him back in. Because game week 8 is it? I think so. I'll have Son for this week, then I'll bring Fernandes in. I'll keep him for 2 weeks, so I'll roll a transfer into game week. What would it be? So if I don't make one, I'll make one next week. So game week 8, I think I'll have 2. I'll bring Son in as 1, and I'll bring in. Let's have a look at the fixtures quickly. City play Arsenal. We play Brighton. I don't know. I'll have a spare transfer. I could potentially bring Son back in and then roll it to 9 and use 2 for Liverpool players for 2 Liverpool players. Yeah, so that's the plan. That is the plan. Captain for me this week, it's either going to be Haaland, and if it's not Haaland, and I do bring in Son, it will be Son.
Yeah, I'm just going to be Captain Haaland. I feel like I've got a good rank to try and protect, so might as well not risk it, you know. Yeah. Son looks the deal, but to do 1 week in the sun is like a trip to Benidorm. Gary, that's comment of the week, that, mate. I applaud that, mate. That's
what about you, captain-wise, Rev? I've said mine.
Haaland, not going to risk me rank. Just gonna captain him. His effective ownership is going to be well more than 100%. And you know, West Ham. You know, would anyone be surprised if City just went and put 5 past West Ham? No. You know, I know West Ham have been good this season, but I wouldn't bat an eyelid if City scored like another 5 goals because they're in great form. So yeah. Anyway, I think that's the moment where we're going to wrap up. Do you have a message to give to Jack Gillis, Reedy?
I don't know. Probably something like eat shit, Jack. After that absolute worldie of a game week he had, probably we need him to fail miserably.
Oh, there we go. Reedy's gone. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. And remember, if you are new around here, please give us a like, a rating, or a little cheeky subscribe on the old YouTube. Thanks to everyone for popping in, all of our regulars, making the show what it is. We love this community. So thanks for popping in, and we'll catch us all again next time. We'll see you later.